Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
Nanaimo Hospice has opened the doors to its new home here at 1080 St. George Crescent. We're going to have a look today on Go. On today's show, a walk through history at Ammonite Falls, puppets with personality, and a road trip to the BC Sports Hall of Fame. That and more in the next 30 minutes. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. After nearly 2 years of fundraising, Hospice has just $200,000 to go in their Grow a Heart campaign, but they are here with open doors in a lovely space at their new home at 1080 St. George Crescent in Nanaimo. We're going to celebrate with Nanaimo Community Hospice today on Go Island. Fall is definitely here, and it is a wonderful time for exploring our regional trails. Kelly Robinson checks out Ammonite Falls looking for fossils. I will admit that we had a sneak peek of the building here at 1080 St. George Crescent in Nanaimo, the new home of Nanaimo Community Hospice, quite a ways back, several months ago, and it did not look like this. This is an absolutely beautiful space, Wendy, and it's been quite a journey getting here. How long has it?
It's been an amazing journey, and it's a wonderful day for us. This is our official grand opening today, and what we're trying to do right now is just invite the community in to have a look at the resource that's available to them. It's taken us 2 years to get here, and the community has been an amazing help in making that happen. So the first thing we want to do is thank our community for helping us to get here. And the next thing we want to say is that this is for our community. This is a resource where people can come and get support when they are dying, when they are grieving, when they are caregiving for a loved one. And what we want to do is open it up so that people can come and see this isn't a scary place. This is a warm, beautiful, safe place for people to be when they are grieving or dying or caregiving. And we have wonderful volunteers and staff here to help, and we just feel so lucky to be able to offer this resource to our community. And
the resources that are being offered are mostly free, from what I understand, to the public?
Yes, that's correct. We don't charge for any of our programs here at Hospice. So people can come for professional counseling, they can come for group activities, they can take advantage of our library. There's a lot of different things happening here at Hospice, therapeutic modalities, so people can come and get Reiki, relaxation, nurturing, and then we also have a wonderful children's program, which you're going to be hearing about a little bit later, that works with children between the ages of 3 right up until the end of their teenage years.
Now, how does this compare to the place that you've moved out of?
Oh my goodness. This is twice the space of what we had, but it's more than that. It's much more accessible. It has wheelchair accessibility. We didn't have that before. It has a 21-car parking lot that was donated to us, and it is absolutely wonderful. It's in a quiet area, a nice quiet area. So when you walk out into our gardens, you can't hear the traffic. What you hear is just nature. And it's absolutely lovely for us to be able to offer all of these spaces. We now can add new programs that we weren't able to offer before. And people aren't lining up and falling over each other, waiting for one program to end and another one to start. Now everything just flows beautifully, and the space is gorgeous, and that never could have happened without our community. We've had so many gifts given to us.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. And we're going to show you some of those community gifts later on this edition of Go Island. We're going to take a very short break right now. Still to come today on Go Island, puppet stories from a retired librarian, rapid fire with the Nanaimo Clippers and the BC Sports Hall of Fame. That and more still to come today on Go. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is the Children's Therapeutic Garden here at the now open Nanaimo Community Hospice House on St. George Crescent. We're going to learn more about the children's programs offered here at hospice later on this edition of Go Island. But speaking of children, James Green in Victoria now is introducing us to a retired children's librarian who now has her own puppet show, takes her show on the road, and you can tell this woman is just loving what she does. And you never know what you're going to find here on Go Island. Today we are finding a true spirit of volunteering and giving back to your community. This is Ann Judson. She's been volunteering with the Nanaimo Community Hospice for the past 12 years. What made you get involved in the first place?
My first involvement with hospice was in Vancouver, and it was after my husband was killed in a work-related accident. I came to a grief group myself to work through my own issues around grief, and then a couple of years later I took some training and actually started facilitating grief support groups in Vancouver, and I've carried that on here in Nanaimo.
There's a very joyous atmosphere here today, and I know there's a big celebration going on, but I'm sort of wondering, why would someone volunteer to spend their time with something that is probably a very sad, well, it is a very sad thing in someone's life? How do you not let it sort of weigh you down?
When I do a grief support group, for example, I often, see people come in that first night and they're scared, they're nervous, they don't want to be here, they don't want to be part of this club. At the end of the 8 weeks, it's wonderful to see the support that they give each other, and in fact, it's hard for us sometimes to get them to leave. They want to continue the program long past the 8 weeks.
Is there a need for volunteers still if people out there are wanting to volunteer?
Absolutely. We always have a need for volunteers. People come and go, life circumstances change. We always can use good people, and it doesn't matter whether you're young, you're old, you can be working, not working. Anyone who has a heart for hospice can be a volunteer.
Excellent, Anne, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds like a very rewarding way to give back to your community, help people through difficult times, and grow and know your own value as a person. We're going to switch gears entirely, throw things over to Dan Marshall. It's another installment of Rapid Fire. We're spending some time with defenseman Austin Dick. The Nanaimo Clippers play a doubleheader at Frank Crane Arena on Friday, October 4th, and then again for Saturday, October the 5th. You can get full details on their season schedule at NanaimoClippers.com. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're enjoying the beautiful space that is the new hospice house here in Nanaimo, and we're hanging out in the reception area, if you can call it that. And there's a little dish that says, please choose an inspirational card to take with you. The one we choose today is titled Service. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. And that's a quote from Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. We're going to be back more after a short break right here on Go. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is the children's room at the new building of Nanaimo Community Hospice at 1080 St. George Crescent. This is a Judy Wilson story, and it looks like a really fun place.
It's a wonderful fun place.
It's very distracting. There's lots of great toys here. But what happens in this room is not great.
Well, what happens in this room is great. The reason children are here is not great. I only see children who've either had somebody in the family die or somebody is in the process of dying. So that is a sad reason. But when they actually come here, here are all the tools, all the familiar items that children know how to use, and we use those for them to express the grief that they're feeling.
And that's the result often of a tragic experience. I mean, it's sad enough when a grandparent's passing, but that's natural. But when you lose a parent in a car crash or a drowning or something like that, it's a very different situation.
And even a natural death, a grandparent. Nowadays, a lot of grandparents are very involved, much more involved with a child's upbringing. So that can be like losing a parent.
So to me, these are just toy cars. And kids come and play with toy cars. How can that help in a grieving process?
Well, when you observe children using like a vehicle, so you might see it's how they use the tool, it's how they use the car. So if you get vehicles where there's a lot of crashing, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person who's died in a crash, but it shows what it feels like when your world crashes around you because somebody who was always there isn't there, or the people that take care of you are not acting the same. There's something going off. People may not be talking about it. They may not be expressing how they feel. They may be trying to not upset a child, but a child knows, a child senses. So they will use any item to express, play through what is happening in their life.
One of the things I overheard with a group that's touring through the open house here today is that the grief that a child's experiencing at maybe 5 years or 6 years or something like that, it changes when they're 15 and 16. So they actually go through the grief process twice in different ways. They
go through it many times. A child will grieve at the stage and age that they're at when the person dies. Say a 3-year-old. Now a three-year-old's understanding of death is very different. They will experience separation anxiety. They will be fearful of another person dying. They will be fearful that something's going to happen to them. When they get to around 6, the understanding of death changes, and that's a loose sort of age, and it will change in different periods. So grief in children comes in bursts. They grieve, that emotion is there, and then the body wisdom calms that grief down. They go on, they do normal things. When it's triggered again, it will come back up. And then you may have a period of time once they've worked through some of the initial grief where everything seems to be okay, but you watch out for behaviours. Are they acting out? Are they not sleeping well? Has their appetite changed? And certainly when they get older, when it's coming up to graduation time and you see other students and their parents are there at their graduation, whoever it is isn't here. You know, even when somebody gets engaged or married, has the first child, those are times when that grief's going to come up again. And it's like we just do another layer of grief. It doesn't stop.
Judy, I know we're just getting started, but we're already over time. I'm fascinated by the work. Thank you very much. My pleasure. We're going to throw things over now to Dunya Tozy. It's this week's edition of Road Trip. And closer to home, the Nanaimo Sports Hall of Fame recently inducted some new members at the Nanaimo Museum. You can pay a visit there in person or visit their website, nanaimomuseum.ca, for full details. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. It's very distracting in here because there are tons of really fun toys, and you can't get near a gong without actually gonging it. So we'll see you next time on Go. It's it for today.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.